And the United Nations has openly voiced its condemnation, saying the atrocities in Rakhine is against human rights. Now, what do we need to end this? Sever ties with Myanmar? With me live on Skype from Chicago, Senior Fellow at Center for Global Policy, Dr. Azim Ibrahim. Hello, Doctor.
Good to be with you.
Hello, thank you so much for being with us on Newsnight. All right, can you first describe the hardship and the struggle faced by the Rohingyas as you know it?
The Rohingya minority have been described by the United Nations as the most persecuted minority in the world. A recent Harvard study has indicated that 1 in 8 people around the globe that are stateless are of Rohingya origin. Now, this is a crisis of untold brutality. The Rohingya have been persecuted throughout Myanmar for decades now, and their demands are very simple. They simply want to return home to their country and be recognized as full citizens. Now, the turning point the difficulty really came from them in 1982, when the 1982 citizenship law outlawed essentially all Myanmar Rohingya as being citizens of the country. And this is a story of untold brutality. And it's unfortunate that the majority of the media actually portray this as a Southeast Asian migration crisis. And this has even led the ASEAN countries to intervene. And the ASEAN countries who have had a policy of non-interference in the policy of their countries has had to intervene because this is now getting completely out of control. And they simply cannot absorb the number of refugees that are fleeing Myanmar. They simply can't absorb those kind of numbers into their own countries.
All right, Doctor. And this has actually been categorized as a modern-day genocide or mass killing or ethnic cleansing. So what do you see that we need to end this massacre?
Well, we need to put considerable pressure on the government of Myanmar. There is no doubt, a number of international experts, including Queen Mary University, Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, Yale University Law School, have all termed this as a genocide. Genocide is a very technical and very precise definition. And this, they say, meets all those criteria of a slow-motion genocide of the Rohingya people. What we need to do is put considerable pressure on the government of Myanmar to reverse its 1982 citizenship law to allow the Rohingya to return back to their homes and not essentially allow them to leave in the numbers that they are leaving. Now, the ASEAN initiative most recently is very welcome, but it simply does not go far enough. It looks at search and rescue missions. It looks at ways they can identify vulnerable groups, but it refuses to use the term Rohingya, which is the exact policy of the government of Myanmar. They refuse to even recognize the term Rohingya as a legitimate term for these people, instead calling them illegal immigrants from Bangladesh or referring to them simply as Muslims from Rakhine. So I think the international community has to put a lot more pressure on the government of Myanmar to reverse these discriminatory laws.
And finally, just briefly, I know that the West is not essentially geographically close to where we are right now here in Asia, but I'm sure the sentiments there are also the same. Can you share a bit how it feels like from wherever you are about the sentiment of this massacre?
So at the moment, Europe and the United States are completely overwhelmed with the Syrian refugee crisis. So this issue is not getting the kind of coverage that it deserves. Europe is being flooded with Syrian refugees, which they cannot absorb. But this is a very similar crisis, and this is a much, much older crisis. And the solution to this crisis is actually much simpler. The government of Myanmar can simply reverse its illegal citizenship laws and allow the Rohingya to be full citizens of the country of their birth, which is essentially all that they require. There's not much more to it. And they stop the discrimination and they stop the extremist Buddhist groups enacting the kind of discriminatory laws against them.
All right, let's hope that we can actually put a stop to this genocide. Thank you so much for being with us on Newsnight. That was Senior Fellow at Center for Global Policy, Dr. Azim Ibrahim, with us on Skype just now.